we've got opportunity now to have 10, 15 minutes of Q&A with Sean before we eat the main course. So I'm sure we're not going to be short of questions, but who's going to kick us off? Chris?
Obvious one. The best player you played with and against?
I always say I'm actually with him tomorrow, actually. And there's two reasons why I pick him. His name is Zinzan Brook. He was number 8. Kicked a drop goal against you guys in the World Cup in '95. He has a massive, massive love of the jersey. Hugely proud of being an All Black. And he was probably the best prepared All Black I ever played with. He was constantly pushing himself, pushing the envelope, looking for different training techniques. We bought a Swiss ball. It's like a Swiss ball. In 1990, we didn't have Swiss balls in New Zealand. And he was away on holiday and found this guy, Peter Cech, in the States. Rang him up, said, "Can you send something?" And that was how he sort of wanted to get better. And our training guy in Auckland said, "Get rid of those bloody things. They're terrible for you." So and best player I played against? I don't know really. I quite like. See, I'd never be in the forwards. I'd always want to be a back. So probably Serge Blanco. Yeah, he was a big smoker, big drinker. He was good, and he was good.
Thank you very much. That was incredible. I'm interested in pressure. I think a lot what you talked about then in terms of wearing the jersey and New Zealand, I think, is such a unique country in that kind of rugby is just so ingrained in it. So to then become an All Black must be incredible. How do you deal with the pressure? It's
about the people around you. And you think about the best coaches at the moment, the reason the All Blacks have sort of turned a bit of a corner is they've got really good people around the head coach. So in terms of dealing with that pressure, everyone needs to understand their role and they need to be good at what they do. And if they're not good, we need to find somebody else who can do their job. Like I couldn't throw the ball into the lineup when I first started. Playing for university, threw the ball in, every throw, whoever caught it was a good throw. And then I started playing with the big boys and I realised I couldn't throw the ball in. And I got thrown out. And I got thrown out for 3 years. So from 1983 to 1986, I didn't play unless I could learn how to throw the ball in. So making sure that you're good at what you do and the best in terms of what you, and then you just feel comfortable. If you turn up, yeah, sure, there's massive pressure because you're expected to win and all this, but that's good because I know I can trust my mate around me. If you've got good people around you, especially what you did, you need to be able to trust people. And if they're not doing their homework, and it comes from within. The culture of the organisation is from within. And we talk about sweeping the sheds and all the dickhead stuff, and we have no dickheads, which is just normal. We don't have our values, honesty, respect, integrity. That's a bloody given. We don't need to talk about it. And so many businesses talk about their values. But when you employ somebody, you need to make sure that they have your values. And if you turn out to be the wrong person, that's not your fault. It's my fault because I employed you. So you need to make sure you employ the right people who understand the culture of your organisation and the pressure that that's going to bring.
When I was about 10, my first computer was a PlayStation. I had John Lomo Rugby.
Yeah.
And that team's the most memorable for me. You mentioned Mertens, I remember Wilson, I remember yourself, Sean. But John Lomo was my hero.
Yeah.
How good was he?
Unbelievable. It was sad if you don't know, he's no longer with us. He died 10 years ago, unfortunately, of a kidney disorder, which we never knew. We never knew he had a kidney disorder. He couldn't load fitness, so hence he wasn't going to go to the World Cup in '95 because he wasn't fit enough. And then with the injury to Eric Rush, he got brought back in, and the rest is history in terms of that. But he was the most loving man. He was very timid, very shy off the field, and the way he expressed himself was on the field, really. And, rugby saved his life. He came from South Auckland. His uncle, he was with his uncle at a shopping centre one day, and his uncle got killed with a machete. And he was, and then luckily he went to a school called Wesley College, a boarding school, and it basically literally saved his life. And just phenomenal what he did. And I say he was a global superstar, and he was, but he literally did that in the space of 5 games because he got dropped in 96. When we went back there in 96, he wasn't up to speed. And until he had a kidney replacement. And you shouldn't play contact sport afterwards. So he had the kidney placed around the back. So in terms of being able to play sport, then ultimately that failed, and he had a massive heart attack. But yeah, we're lucky that he was part of our sport. We saw him in 1993. We were playing Australia and Dunedin, and in those days there was curtain raisers between schoolboys. So Australia was playing New Zealand, and this number 8 for the New Zealand schoolboys scored 4 tries in the space of about 10 minutes. And we said, "Who's that kid?" And it was Jonah Lomu. And in the space of 9 months, he was on the All Blacks. Youngest All Black ever.
Hi, Sean. My question sort of relates to the transition into the professional era, which I think you probably sat on the cusp of.
Yes.
So how do we deal with ego and super talent versus team goal? Dave Brailsford gave us some input on his approach to that last night. So from a layperson looking in, the sort of model Dan Carter, great hero, versus maybe Sonny Bill. How does the All Blacks deal with the size of an ego for the common goal, and where does the line sort of draw? Sorry, your talent's not.
So that the no dickhead policy is quite a good one for that. Like we don't have that. The dickhead thing, right? In my day, they used to get to first base in the early days. Where now they don't get to first base. Those guys, they're taken out of the system, or they become one of us. So the Jonah Lomus, Dan Carter, Richie McCaw, those sort of players, they are more team orientated than us. They are uber careful about what they do, what they say, how they train. They set the standards, and that's so important that you have that, because you need superstars. And unfortunately, contradicting myself here, we don't have any superstars now in our sport. Where F1, I would imagine he would have spoken about AMG Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton's a bloody rock star. He is a mega star, and he's probably one of the best team people you'll find. But unfortunately in our sport, we don't have any superstars. Where Jonah Lomu was the only global superstar we ever had, and will ever have, I think. So, you need to sit people down. If you think they're getting outside their lane, just bring them back in. Just have a chat. Come on, come over here. Let's have a little chat about what you're doing, what you said last night. Everything we do, everything we eat, everything we drink, everything we say, is that going to help the team? Is that going to help us win on Saturday? And that's the questions. That's why it's so exhausting. Being the best at what you do is so bloody exhausting. So you can only do it for so long. And it's the same in business. You've got to give everything you've got. And I have this thing where, so for me when I was in All Black, and a lot of people won't like this, but it was the most important thing in my life. And my wife knew that. My children knew that. So I missed the birth of a child. It's just, that's what we chose to do. And we all bought into it. Where probably a better way of qualifying it is that while I'm at work, it's the most important thing in my life. But when I was at work, it was 24/7, literally. And when you're at home, you've got to make the sacrifices at home too. You've got to, if you've got spare time, you've got to spend it with the family. And a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
My best mate, he works in the city, and he down there at 6 in the morning, probably has three nights a week up in town. Saturday we play golf. Sunday has family lunch, and he thinks he's a family man. I'm like, mate, you're joking.
You're talking to a lot of people who've been here for 4 days and playing golf tomorrow morning. Next question. I'll come to James, then over to you, Wayne.
Hi, Sean. So winning matters, right?
Yep.
I feel as if I've not won all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But where I've made my biggest learnings is from failure.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest failure you've had in life, not in sport, in life? And what did you learn from it?
Well, I haven't done much else, actually. Well, in terms of the failures I had in sport was obviously that 91 team, where I was bloody lucky that my wife said to me, "You need to get back on the horse," and that I was given a chance. Biggest failings in life? I don't know. Oh, God, that's a big question. No, I haven't got any regrets, I don't think. In terms of disappointments, I would love to have won the World Cup in '95. The thing that pisses me off is that 91 more than anything. Though I think I could have been better as a person in that, especially in that era of sort of 89, 90, 91. I let myself down there. Ironically, I had dinner with the captain of that team last night, Gary Wetton, who was being held accountable for what happened. I said to him last night, "That's bullshit. You were one of 15 of us that let that down."
When?
Sean, thank you. You've been at the pinnacle of the All Blacks for many years, and when you say Jonah was a global superstar, I think you were globally recognised as well. So,
not in America.
Yeah, don't. I think the thing I'm really interested in is going from that cauldron of, what it's like in New Zealand when you lose, for instance, and just the pressure that's upon you and everything else, and being at the forefront of the All Blacks for so long, and the transition into suddenly not being an All Black any longer. How did you deal with that?
In terms of the pressure of the nation, I think as a nation, finally we've matured. The sun does come up the next day. It doesn't affect the economy like it used to when we used to lose. And the transition from, I was fine. As I said, I had a business. I'd wanted to retire in 91. I said definitely after 95, driving to the game with my best mate who was our media liaison officer. I said, "Ricardo, win or lose today, I'm retiring." Got back to the pub having a pint, and he said, "Shit, you're going to come back next year and beat these bastards." And I went, that's a good idea. And if it wasn't for the knee injury, I probably would have played on till 99, which would have been a terrible thing to do. And letting go was really difficult. Why letting go was difficult was because I was safe, I was secure, I liked what I was doing, I knew what to do. And a lot of people have that in business. They can't let go. They're on that bloody train, and to jump off it is a big issue. So I was probably lucky that I had an injury. Otherwise, I would have had a train crash because we got cleaned out in the World Cup in '99. Luckily for me, and I had things to do, and I was young enough I was 34, so I had opportunity to do other things and still be involved in rugby. Having two girls was great because I didn't have to be involved in rugby. And it was only literally when we came over here in 2004 that I got back into TV. I said I'd never work in TV in New Zealand, so then I started working for the Beeb and then for Sky, and then doing the World Cups for ITV, which I'm still doing. And that's the only TV I'm doing, which is good. And then I'm involved in clubs. I'm on the board of Montpellier in France, Scarlets, and I do a bit of work for Harlequins. So that keeps me current in terms of knowing what's going on.
Thank you. Yeah. Danny, coming across.
And New Zealand rugby too. I do quite a bit of New Zealand rugby. We finally decided that we needed an office in the UK. So we can be with the Brailsfords of the world because they sponsor the All Blacks.
I'm just interested in why you think you were selected. What was your attributes? What was it that somebody saw in you to say, you're the captain?
In New Zealand, we still do it, actually. You have a trial of 30 players, and one team is called the probables. You're probably going to be All Blacks. They wear black. And the possibles wear white. I was the captain of the possibles, right? And his captain was Mike Brewer, and 20 minutes into the game, he blew his calf muscle, and he went past me, he said, "Fitzy, I'm gone. I've blown my calf." And I thought, straight up, if you're not going to be captain, who's going to be captain? And literally, his hand was forced, and he had to pick me. And it took me 3 years to feel comfortable, because it's not easy. It's not leading people is not easy. It's not natural if you're not a born leader. So. Actually, at the end of the day, I loved it, actually. So and that's the problem. A lot of people don't get the opportunity to express themselves. And because people don't like sticking their hand up.
Adam.
Thanks so much, Sean. It's been really super. Something we've been talking about is a lot of kind of theme is humour. What was there good banter in the All Blacks, and is there one particular thing that you like share that was a particular memory that still makes you laugh today?
Things I can tell. No, it's honestly what I love about it, and like I'm seeing Zinni tomorrow, right? And we haven't seen each other for probably a year. Within a minute, we'll be giving each other shit. But it's just like I was with Andrew Mertens. Gary had dinner last night with Gary Wetton, as I said. It's just a brotherhood. It's just it's like a family. So we're quite harsh on each other. Like even now, we're quite harsh on each other in terms of what you're doing and what you should be doing. And we talk about why we lost games. We don't have any reunions of any one team. We have a reunion as the All Blacks. So no team is more special than the other team. So we have a reunion once a year. Round one of the Test, I think it was actually tonight in New Zealand before the Springbok game, where they have a reunion and there'll be probably 300 All Blacks there. And they get 3 tickets, which was nowadays was your mum and dad and your wife or your girlfriend. So they get 3 tickets and you have to show up, otherwise you don't get the tickets to the game the next day. But it's cool. Just the only thing is that I'm working my way up the list because all the old boys are falling over.
Last few questions. Anybody else? Spence.
Hi, Sean. I'll probably find this out in Google, but I'm going to ask you, why All Black?
So when they were touring the Invincibles in 1905, they were touring the UK. They were away for 9 months on a tour. And I think they played 38 games or something stupid. And they were playing in the north of England. And they beat the north of England by, I don't know, whatever. And the report from the game was sent in, and the proofreader at the paper was reading it. And he read it, and the guy had written, this All Black team, they ran like all backs. Everyone was like a back. So they ran like all backs. And he couldn't work out what all backs was. And he looked at the colour of the jersey, and he went, they must have meant All Blacks. And that was literally how it started.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand in ovation for Sean Fitzpatrick.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The next T2 Leadership Retreat will take place on the 7th to the 9th of May 2024. To book your place, please visit www.trans2performance.com.